Welcome to this explainer on Max and Claude's Bullet for a Shadow. We are going to dive right into an absolutely absurd, hard-boiled mystery all about stolen identities and, well, extreme municipal documentation. Seriously, if you've ever felt like navigating modern life is just an endless, soul-crushing stream of paperwork, just wait until you see a world where you literally need a permit just to exist.
To really wrap your head around this surreal world, you kind of just need to understand its weather. The authors write, "The rain in the city doesn't fall, it negotiates." Think about that for a second. Every single raindrop actually has to file a petition with the Department of Atmospheric Relations before making contact with the pavement. The result? Most precipitation just hovers 3 feet above the ground in this perpetual state of bureaucratic limbo.
So, how exactly does someone steal an entire existence? We'll figure that out by covering 1. The rules of the city, 2. The shadow black market, 3. Anatomy of a pseudo-person, 4. The existential paradox trap, and 5. Bureaucracy and identity. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the rules of the city. We start by following our protagonist, private investigator Jack Torrent. He's navigating a metropolis where, as I mentioned, literally everything requires a permit. The sheer chaos of this place is just mind-boggling. Besides the Department of Atmospheric Relations handling the rain, you've got the Department of Urban Confusion ensuring street layouts actively defy conventional geometry. Then there's the Department of Existential Verification, which routinely tests citizens to confirm they actually exist. And it's in this wildly regulated setting that Jack gets hired. His client, a legally licensed talking pink flamingo named Mrs. Flamingolia Pinksworth, who hires him to find a missing person that doesn't actually exist. Now, navigating a simple investigation here requires an overwhelming amount of municipal compliance. I mean, we're talking about a city where time itself is delayed by paperwork. They use something called administrative time, which runs exactly 13% slower than standard time. Nothing is straightforward. Street names change hourly, and they decide the new names based on the roll of dice that are forged from crystallized bureaucracy. It's so intense that Jack has to carry 14 pounds of paperwork with him just to legally walk down the street.
Moving right along to Section 2, the shadow black market.
So the mystery really kicks into gear when Miss Pinksworth reveals that the suspect, a guy named Absence Nobody, hasn't stolen something normal like a wallet or a watch. No, he has stolen her actual shadow. You see, a recent municipal deregulation turned shadows from a strictly regulated, one-per-person standard assigned at birth into a totally chaotic free market commodity. Because of this deregulation, there was a massive spike in metaphysical thefts, with shadows being bought, sold, and traded on a completely untracked black market.
As Jack digs into this, he discovers a genuinely terrifying pattern. Absence Nobody isn't just out there grabbing random shadows. He is systematically collecting the psychic residue from citizens who are already losing their grip on reality. Yep, every single victim had recently visited the Department of Existential Verification to file a complaint about feeling less real.
Which brings us to Section 3, Anatomy of a Pseudo-Person. So what exactly do you do with the stolen shadows of existentially uncertain people? Jack actually scores a clandestine meeting with a shadow broker and learns the magic number, 47. Absence Nobody has purchased exactly 47 premium shadows. Why that specific number? Well, it turns out 47 is the exact metaphysical mass required to construct a fully functional pseudo-person. That is, a being with consciousness, memories, and agency, but zero actual, legally verified reality of its own.
And Absence Nobody's ultimate goal? It's what the authorities call a Category 7 impossibility. With those 47 stolen consciousness fragments acting as his structural foundation, he plans to completely steal and replace a verified, documented existence. And the target he's chosen for this identity replacement is none other than Jack Torrent himself. Absence Nobody plans to use municipal forms to legally displace Jack in reality, basically turning our guy Jack into a literal filing error.
Let's see how Jack handles this in Section 4, the existential paradox trap. Jack is obviously in real trouble here, so he teams up with the reality police to execute this wild, daring plan called a temporary existential extraction. They literally disassemble Jack piece by piece.
First, they extract and file his memories. Then, they document and remove his personality traits, assess and extract his consciousness, and finally, remove his fundamental sense of self. They safely store his actual reality away in the metaphysical evidence vault, leaving Jack at precisely 4.7% existence. He's basically just an empty, Jack-shaped shell, acting as bait.
And you know what? The trap springs perfectly. Absence nobody arrives at Jack's office, ready to forcefully displace him with a bureaucratic petition for identity replacement. But he hits a massive existential paradox. You cannot steal the existence of someone who isn't really there. The sheer paradox of trying to steal nothing causes Absence nobody's patchwork identity to violently separate. The 47 stolen shadows totally collapse and instantly scatter back to their original owners.
Finally, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture in Section 5, Bureaucracy and Identity.
The authors are definitely using this absurd city as a mirror for our own world. Max and Claude brilliantly blend these Kafkaesque administrative nightmares with Chandler-esque hard-boiled noir to really highlight our contemporary anxieties about documented identity. Because in Jack's world, and honestly increasingly in ours, identity becomes incredibly vulnerable when it gets reduced down to nothing but data points, permits, and verification systems. The core takeaway here is that true heroism isn't necessarily about destroying the system. It's about maintaining your humanity and agency within these overwhelming institutional systems. I mean, Jack literally saves himself by stepping outside the system of existence entirely.
It leaves us with such a fascinating paradox to ponder. In our increasingly documented and data-driven world, is our existence defined by the authentic experiences of who we actually are? Or is it simply defined by the paperwork and digital trails that prove we are here? Seriously, if all your paperwork disappeared tomorrow, who are you? Thank you so much for exploring Bullet for a Shadow with me today. Keep questioning the paperwork, and I'll see you in the next explainer.